Some people are scared of the dark. Not me. I choose the darkness. Moved underground, under the grid, under the world. A lot of people don't come down here, and that's the way I like it.
One morning I woke up and I had decided that I had it. Some people get off the grid. We got above the grid, up in the trees. Up here, I'm the only predator. Nobody bothers us.
Living on the ridgeline, high above the grid. Everything else seems small. I'm where I'm supposed to be, out here in the middle of nowhere.
I volunteered to be a castaway, cut off from the world. In America, you got choices, and this is my choice. This is life outside the grid.
In the age of technology, the electrical grid is expanding, and the world is getting smaller. For some, finding peace of mind means hiding out where no one thinks to look. To escape, they redefine off the grid. The edge. There is no honest way to explain it. Because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who've gone over.
In the caves, I found a world that doesn't exist out there. Under the grid, I found the peace and the quiet that I've always wanted. This is where I belong, and this is where I'll stay. I'll be here till I die. Okay, this looks like one of the holes we fixing to drop in. So before I drop in this hole, Beard's got to drop in the shirt. This looks real tight, too. I don't know about your camera. So, here we go. We have to descend into the bowels of the earth. Come on, guys, let's go. You need some help?
That's it.
Jesus, Joe. How do you find these places, man?
Okay.
Over the last 2 years, Joe Ray has spent most of his time underground, making his home within the Ozark Mountains of north-central Arkansas. Joe occupies hundreds of the nearly 2,000 documented caves in the region. Carved from limestone over centuries of erosion, this underworld contains subterranean lakes, a labyrinth of tunnels and large caverns that Joe uses for shelter and storage.
It keeps me young. That's one good thing about it. A lot of young folks come up here and they go, I ain't going in there. I ain't doing that. Getting closer.
Today, as National Geographic Channel cameras join Joe Ray, he's in the midst of preparing for one of his most difficult times of year.
The monsoon season's here. The rain is every day. It's not going to quit.
Over the next 2 months, monsoon season in Arkansas will deliver heavy rains to the area, often causing regional flooding. These rising waters can infiltrate Joe Ray's underground world, submerging entire tunnels and caves.
We're headed around to my armory. Watch your step. The caves are flooding and I gotta move all my stuff before anything goes. It's not a good sign. I've got lots of water and mud on the floor here and lots of excess water dripping off my ceilings. So I know this cave here is going to be submerged here pretty soon. Won't be long. We'll empty this one and then we'll head to the next one. These are some of my babies here. This gun I've had probably 20, 30 years. Never failed me. I've got another little 32 Savage here. This 1907 model. This is an old gun. Still shoots like a charm. I love it. This one here is my really most secure gun. A little 12 gauge pump. Within 50 to 75 yards. I'll paste anything I want.
Have you ever had to shoot anyone?
I've never actually had to shoot anyone. A lot of people don't even want to talk to me. You know, I've went into town a few times on foot and stuff, and people feel sorry for me. I've had people buy me dinners and stuff for it. They say, here, you need some food. You know, it's really sort of funny, but you know, I always take it. Because it's a free meal, hey, let's load up and get on out of here because I got to go save the rest of my stuff.
With his gun secure, Joe will continue to safeguard his belongings from rising waters. Chief among them is a stash of irreplaceable mementos that belonged to his wife, Mary, who passed away nearly 2 years ago. I got a stash where I keep Mary's mementos. That's more dear to me than just about anything. I've got to have that. She loved this place as much as I did.
I don't know why anybody would want any more than this. Nice campsite, couple of fine Mustangs, good dog and a good rifle. The first time I rode by here, I thought, man, if I could ever put a lodge right up on top, I would be in heaven. I pursued my dream. It's a wild country, but I love it very much. Haven't shaved in 20 years. Takes up too much time. Of course, you know, my family always thought I was crazy, thank you very much, but my dad always said that I was just like one of his uncles. You're just like him. All you want to do is hunt and fish and ride. I said, thank you. I knew I couldn't be the first one.
Beyond the grid, Bear Claw makes his home in western Idaho, high atop the ridgelines of the Clearwater Mountains, part of the Northern Rockies. Up here, Bear Claw found a place removed from the modern world, one he believes resembles the frontier of the early 1800s.
Of course, when I was a kid, my mother said I'd like to come out of the house just once and not seeing you climb up in that tree. I don't think it ever happened, though. There's a pretty good fire going right there. Them trees must have exploded and they're burning up. Right over there, I see a white speck. This is going to be a bad time of the year. It's dry as a tinderbox everywhere.
Here in Idaho, a lack of rain has resulted in a severe drought, causing serious issues to contend with. Frequent wildfires have been plaguing the region, and over the past week, flames have reached forested areas less than a mile from Bear Claw's camp.
The danger of the fires, this whole country could catch on and burn down. And I don't want to burn up with it and all my critters. So I'm going to remove my camp. You can tell it's really dry out here because this horse's hooves are as hard as a rock. This whole country could burn up in a couple of days this time of year. Luckily, I got a fast horse.
not seeing anything. Still nothing, Jeannie.
Nothing at all?
Nothing. I ain't even seen a squirrel.
I only got like 6 cans of meat, baby, so you gotta do something. Is there any way you can head down south?
We could eat the bird.
No, we're not eating Norman.
I guess if they ain't here, I gotta go where they're at.
Yeah.
And check down by the creek. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Woke up one morning in the city, the day that I had the revelation that I was going to get away from it all. Things barreling down on my chest, and I realized I had it. I'm done. I'm getting rid of everything, and I'm going to the mountains. I'm going to build me a tree house, and that's where I'm going to live. And that's what this means, since I have had it. And that became our slogan.
Doc and Jeannie built their tree house approximately 25 feet off the ground to provide them with an elevated perspective on the area below.
Thought I saw Bigfoot.
In the far northwest corner of America, they live in the treetop canopy of Onion Creek, Washington, amid over 1 million acres of dense forest near the Canadian border.
Everything that we own, it fits in this little 10 by 10 structure here, and we're happier for it. We've tried to get everything as compact as possible. Everything that you could want for in a regular house, we have here in our 1 bedroom. Basin where we put water in just like a regular sink, the cook stove. Here's the grocery store. 30-06 handle just about anything we want to eat up here. It's my climbing gear up here or down there.
What's up here?
I got a couple of trees that I can climb up and see what's going on. Thank you, man.
Love you. Good luck. Come back in one piece.
Yep, hopefully with some other pieces too.
Yeah.
In the past, Doc and Jeannie have spent more than 2 weeks in their platform without ever touching the ground.
Bye.
See ya.
Good luck.
But with food stores running low, Doc is forced to the forest floor to head out on the hunt.
My stomach is growling.
To find solitude, some go to extreme lengths and places. Living beyond the grid, high in the mountaintops, or far below it, deep underground. In the middle of Lake Michigan lies a place removed from the world, known as Beaver Island, outside the grid.
I decided to move to Beaver Island with my family to get a fresh start. There's no roads tying to Beaver Island. There's no highway. The people are tough. If they don't want you here, they're not going to let you stay here. And I like that. I choose to live like that. Probably the most special thing in terms of wanting to move here was the lack of population, simple living.
Let's go for a ride.
With the unique isolation factor, you know, being out here in the middle of Lake Michigan, you're going to get people that come and go, but the population stays about the same usually. You know, one of the most remote areas in the continental U.S. This beach line, this stretch of straits here, in the winter, there's a lot of ice that piles up. Well, the ice just left this lake in early May, so we're just getting on the water. You know, summertime, it seems you're spending your whole time working your butt off for wintertime. It's a small window.
Out here, 18 miles from the mainland, Dan Burton makes his home amid the fresh waters of Lake Michigan. He lives within the Beaver Island archipelago, a series of 9 islands, several of which are completely uninhabited.
So basically, I'm looking this beach line to bowfish. The season just started. It's early and we want to get fishing as quick as possible. You got to be a couple sticks ahead of the fire. It's not that long. We're going to be right back to freezing rain, snow, and ice again. When the seasons change and the water's warming up, fish come in here to bed down and to eat. So they're coming right up to the banks. You know, it's nothing to see a 36-inch pike or carp. You know, big bass. You know, it just takes patience. You got to kind of sit around and just wait, let them settle back in. Oh, you see there's one coming in right over here. Ooh, ooh! Dang, got him! Yeah. Damn. Nice. It's nice when a plan comes together.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the ravens haven't been around today. They're usually here. I think they know there's a fire somewhere. Time to mosey. Maybe you ought to move too. We all gotta get in a safe place.
Beyond the grid, in western Idaho, wildfires are now threatening areas less than 1 mile from Bear Claw's camp.
I can't do smoke and dust, so it's a big factor for me. My lungs are bad.
To make matters worse, he's long suffered from a respiratory condition, aggravated by smoke.
I don't feel comfortable this close to a fire. This time of year, being prepared is literally a survival tool that we have to have. Taken off 5 or 10 minutes, you're in the saddle and you're gone. What do you say, pretty girl? Time to mosey. Come on, guys. Let's go find a new campsite across the canyon.
Bear Claw will ride approximately 8 miles west, even further beyond the grid, to ensure safe distance from approaching flames.
Come on, boys.
He relies on his horses, Rainbow and Adahi, to move along the ridgelines, navigating steep terrain.
These horses take me or wherever I want to go. All you got to do is spend enough time with them, and they know what the scoop is. I think they know there's a fire somewhere. They know it's time to mosey. Oh, man, that smoke.
If you're gonna be hunting deer, the deer stand is the ticket. I don't have a traditional deer stand. Hopefully my steps are still good. I haven't been out here in a while.
In the woods of eastern Washington, Doc Leverett and his wife Jeannie make their home high above the grid. Now, as Doc aims to replenish their food supply, he'll rely on that same elevated position to hunt for game.
Folks complain about going to the grocery store. This is earning your dinner. Deer, they have a lot of speed. You're not gonna catch them. You're not gonna run them down. It's kind of an ambush hunt. You have to be somewhere they're gonna cross. There's something down by the creek. Looks like there's some sort of structure down there. Might have got a new neighbor. Look in my backyard. I guess I'm gonna go exploring a little bit. Hopefully it's not one of these knuckleheads that move out here and they read a book on how to survive in the wild and they're gonna do it.
5 years ago, Doc first moved above the grid to escape the snares of civilization and the crowds that come with it. The structure he spotted is less than a half mile from his treehouse.
Trespassers. Let's go see what we can find. It looks like I might have me a new neighbor.
In Onion Creek, Washington, Doc and Jeannie Leverett moved high above the grid to escape civilization and the crowds that come with it. But after spotting signs of newcomers less than a half-mile away, Doc is on high alert.
One of the reasons we came up here was to get away from it all. When we arrived here, no other human had ever hung their hat here. Every structure, everything you see that isn't nature produced, me and Jeannie built it with our own two hands. We don't have too many trespassers, but we don't have too many repeat trespassers. I've heard of the 3S rule. It's shoot, shovel, and shut up. There's some type of treehouse here. Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hello?
So right now we're basically coming right in between Garden Island to my left, Hog Island kind of straight ahead to the right, and Beaver Island is straight behind us right now. Hopefully this evening things work out and we get the right weather. Hopefully we'll come home with some fish. Otherwise I'm going to be resorting to squirrels.
In the middle of Lake Michigan, far outside the grid, Dan Burton has traded in his kayak for an outboard motor.
I want to try one more hot spot.
In search of a new fishing hotspot, he'll use his bow to target the remote waters near Hog Island.
And we're going to try to shoot right through there. See those? Boulder on the left, boulder on the right. And then on both sides right now, the water is probably 2 feet deep. And we don't want the wind to kick in. Not right now. These waves don't help, so now we got to start looking. Come on, baby. It hit hard enough to kill the engine. Oh man, that prop is. See if I can pull myself into that island. Okay, you stay, Titus. Let's get it in, get it somewhere safe. The prop's broken. I bent this one over and I lost the whole tip of this one. I'm gonna get on the radio right away and see if I can catch somebody before it's too late. See if somebody will run out to us. I'm gonna need a little help. Yeah, this is Tag Along, looking for somebody on shore to give me a hand. Over. Tag Along, looking for someone to give me a hand. I got a prop that I tore up. If somebody could run me one out. Over. I don't know if anyone heard my call. Anybody out there? Come on, bird dog, this is Tag Along. Tag Along, looking for some help. I don't want to be out here all night.
Coming up to another one of my stash holes here. I got to go down and try and find and save it. If it all depends how the flood is or how the rain. There's been lots of rain.
For the last 3 days, rains have intensified in north central Arkansas, causing flooding underground. Below the grid, Joe Ray is attempting to safeguard a cache of irreplaceable mementos before rising waters inflict any damage.
This is it. Yeah. I've got a big problem here, because this is usually always completely dry. Now I've got lots of water, so this time probably do a little swimming. I don't know if y'all's camera gonna be able to go or not, but we've got to get on in there and go. I got to have that stuff. Mary's mementos. This is disaster. I got a stash where I keep Mary's mementos. I've got to have that.
Below the grid, nearly a half mile from the outside world, Joe Ray is attempting to reach an important stash of irreplaceable mementos before rising waters inflict any damage.
Come on. How far we gotta go? Well, there's no telling. If my stuff's washed away, we might try and look for it. It all depends how this gets. We might have to swim. It's gonna get deeper going back. There'll be no doubt about that. I can't take the camera, you better leave it, but we gotta roll. Whew, the water's cold. It's still rising. We can't go this way any farther. We're gonna have to find how to go back. Maybe I go in another way, as long as it's not flooded. This is it's impossible. Unless you don't value your life. We need to go back out and go to the other cave.
We're just gonna check the direction of this wind. We can see the smoke rising over here where the fire's burning.
In Idaho, firefighters are working to contain multiple wildfires in the Clearwater Mountains. Fires are burning less than a mile from Bear Claw's old camp. But after traveling further beyond the grid, he's now 3 miles from the flames.
It's filling that canyon full of smoke over there. It's a cooking, it's a good fire. I like to drink mullein tea to soothe my lungs. 3 leaves ought to be good and strong. Make a little fire and cook up some tea. There we go. We got us a little flamage. Don't take too long. Before I came to the mountains, I got sick. I got really sick. My lungs were bad. Back in Wisconsin, I worked in a factory too long, and weld smoke got to my lungs, and so I ran out of there puking the place where I was working. Now they sent me to some doctor, and of course he had to mix up a solution of weld smoke. Said I had to breathe it for 30 seconds. I told him I was going to die. Then he goes, "Yep, you're allergic to weld smoke." I said, "Well, I already figured that one out. That's why I left that job." Then I ended coming out here where I really wanted to go. Best thing that ever happened to me. Out here, all these plants are the doctors. They'll take good care of you. Everything you need is right out there. Just got to go get it. As my dad would say.
This is Tag Along, looking for somebody on shore to give me a hand. I got a busted prop and I'm gonna need some help. Anybody roger that?
In the middle of Lake Michigan, on an uninhabited island, Dan Burton's boat has been immobilized outside the grid.
One big gravel pile.
With no reply on the radio and less than 2 hours until sunset, Dan is in survival mode.
But when you're broke down and dead in the water, it's frightening. You know, it's scary. It's scary to think that you gotta possibly stay the night. It's a heart-pounding moment. You make do with what you got. Right here, little gardener snake. If you're starving, there's dinner.
Hello? Hello? Don't catch anybody off guard here. Man, somebody started to build a grand structure.
In Onion Creek, Doc Leverett is investigating potential newcomers less than a half-mile from his treehouse.
Guess they were gonna build them the grand mansion in the trees.
But after surveying the area, there are no immediate signs of life.
Lots of folks come out here. They've read a lot of books. They've heard a lot of tales of people coming and living their dream in the wilderness. And they get out here and realize that Mother Nature's not very forgiving. There's no learning curve out here. Stuff everywhere. I always find something useful. An old refrigerator rack. Got an idea, though. This is perfect. There's so many different things that you can do with somebody's cast-off stuff.
Doc's given name is Lee Leverett, but he earned the nickname Doc decades ago for his ability to fix just about any problem.
As long as you don't come home empty-handed, I guess it's a good day.
After 16 years in the Navy, he learned to maximize the resources at hand, often reusing and repurposing unlikely materials.
And I figure the reflective thing, I can use that for the back.
Yeah, that'll work.
Make a dehydrator, solar dehydrator.
Okay, I can use it for the kale.
Yeah, I see what I can come up with. We spent our first winter in this place, and it is way too small. A lot of things have been removed, but this was the basic structure. So this has just become our workshop. We had some other siding up that I've used to make our new one, but this is where we learned some of the hard lessons. Really roughing it. Solar dehydrator uses the heat from the sun's rays to remove the moisture out of food. We use the metal as a reflector in the back. You can buy it in the store, but mine will probably last just as long, and it won't cost near as much to run it. One solar dehydrator. It's not gonna win no beauty pageants, but it'll work. I'll get this set up in the sunshine.
We'll get some kale chips. These are gonna be awesome. A little bit of oil, Cajun spice.
Good deal.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Awesome. Sun's pretty good. It should be dry in a couple hours.
This is the only other option that I have right now, unless I go back through and want to swim and maybe drown.
Below the grid in Arkansas, heavy rains have flooded multiple tunnels, obstructing Joe Ray's path to a cache of personal belongings. For 2 hours, he searched for an alternate route unaffected by the flood.
I hear water, so this doesn't sound good. We got to get on in there and go. This is it. And I hope it's there. Yeah, we got a problem here. This is already starting to water up here, but it looks like all my stuff's still here.
What you got back here, Joe?
In north central Arkansas, heavy rains are causing flooding in the underground caves of the Ozark Mountains. Navigating a labyrinth of tunnels below the grid, Joe Ray has managed to reach his most important belongings before rising waters could inflict any damage.
Thank God everything's still here and it hadn't flooded in here yet, because this was really the most important to me. Everything I've got here is irreplaceable to me, and I have to keep this. Well, this one was the first picture we ever had made together. The very first one. If there was ever a soulmate for me, she was it. I'll probably never find another one like her. I was really pretty wild before I met her. She saved me, actually. The smile she had, she always had the smile. She brought such joy to my life. It's just hard to imagine her gone. But life goes on. I mean, she's not suffering anymore, so I'm happy for that. I mean, she was to the point where she suffered every day.
Joe cared for Mary for nearly 15 years as she suffered from Alzheimer's disease. After she passed, he retreated under the grid in search of peace and solitude.
She's with me in spirit and soul. I can feel her in all the caves I go to. It's like she's always there, watching over me. She's like my angel now. She's safe, so that's all that counts. I've got everything that really matters to me right here, so let's hit the trail.
Tag along, looking for some help. Anybody out there? Hey, Bird Dog, you out there? This is Tag along, still needing some help. Over.
In the remote waters of Lake Michigan, outside the grid, Dan Burton's boat has been immobilized on an uninhabited island.
What do we do now?
We'll wait and see.
With no reply to his mayday and sunset approaching, Dan's prepared for a long night.
I don't know if anyone heard my call. If not, we're here. Trapped with hardly any boat traffic unless somebody comes through fishing. So I just gotta keep...
That's a plane, that's a plane.
I can hear it. Yeah. See if I can catch him.
You think he sees us?
Knock on wood.
Small engine seaplanes often deliver supplies to the remote islands in Lake Michigan.
Woo-wee!
And if this one spotted Dan, it will radio for help on his behalf.
Thank you!
It may be hours, or even a day before rescue arrives. But life outside the grid often means making it on your own.
Well, we're gonna hang out, make sure the boat stays here. Did you bring your sleeping bag?
We always carry a sword on our saddle, cutting brush, stabbing bears, things like that. This'll work great. Looks like we got everything we need here. We'll have a shelter in no time.
In the Clearwater Mountains, Bear Claw has finally found a new camp, 10 miles from the nearest wildfire.
I'm just tying a few poles up, lashing them down.
He strategically crossed the Clearwater River to use its waters as a fire break and settled at high elevation above the tree line.
Looks like a good shelter to me. This is exactly the kind of campsite I was hoping to find. I can see where the fire would go, and if anything does happen, I can see it coming. I can saddle them horses up, and we can mosey on farther. My home is wherever the sun goes down. That's where my home is. The freedom that I have. This is good for a man's soul.
This season on the Boonies.
Living out here on the water, you're always treasure hunting. There's treasure all over. I'm sure it's here. I don't see anybody beating me to it. You just gotta be out there and willing to dive in and get it. This is an amazing place. There's gonna be something around every corner.
This is the shaft we'll be going down in right here. And these shafts could actually go for miles. I mean, it's always dangerous. You never know what's gonna come. Let's go check it out and see what's happening.
When you think you're all alone and you hear a tree crash, it kind of makes the hair stick up on the back of your head. Get a bear hunt for food. I don't mind sharing the woods with them, but I do not want to share my house.
Waking up this morning, knowing that I'm headed out for a pack trip, this is what I live for. There's nothing more I would rather do.